It's showing. Okay, right. Thank you. In fact, if you notice, ladies and gentlemen, that I have the title in a format of a question. How is learning measured and assessed? Keep this in mind, because I'm going to keep asking many rhetorical questions. But let's have a look at the main points that I'll be discussing during these 15 minutes. I would like to highlight here the driving forces behind developing this conceptual paper. It's a conceptual paper, it's not experimental study. And I tell you why a conceptual paper, because this is really something that needs to be addressed. The assessment that we are really dealing with on a daily basis, assessing our students. So it's a conceptual paper first, and I'll highlight some approaches to assessment. And here we are going to be coming with a new concept, localized assessment. It's not mentioned before in the literature. This is something new, but we are going to build on those who preceded us. That's why I say here, promoting an ontologically oriented, localized, it's not globalized, it's localized assessment approach, and we will see what it means to have a localized assessment. Let me just start with you with some rhetorical questions. Here I have so many questions that are lurking in the back of the memory. The first question, in fact, has already been asked many years ago, and this is by John Dewey, one of the most important constructivist philosopher. And I'm just using it in my way. So I'm saying here, are we really preparing our university graduates for their future or our past? To what extent do higher education graduates really meet the skill demands of the current and future labor market? Another question that's really coming into play, is there a skill mismatch between or within your setting? I'm talking about your setting, my colleague setting here, between what's acquired and what's required? Can we separate the way we teach from the way we assess? A very important question. Are they completely in discrete entities? Assessment has nothing to do with teaching, or teaching has a lot to do with the way we assess? Or, as I said here, there must be consistency between the way we teach and the way we assess, between the teaching methodology and the assessment approach. We would like to really, I need now to think about this. What drives your teaching? I know that Ms. Latifa is teaching, I think, for so many years at college level, and I'm quite sure that others are also teaching. So here, what drives your teaching and assessment process? What do you have? Do you have a vision that guides this process? And on what basis you chose this approach? What are the main characteristics of the approach that you are using, whether in teaching or even in assessment? Another question. I'm still here trying to let you, through these questions, figure out what I am driving at. Will the labor market of today be of tomorrow, especially in this digital era, or is going to be completely different? I think on a daily basis, we have shifts, digitally speaking. Is there any relationship between college assessment and graduate employability, or the market is having its own entity away from the school? I'm talking about the college, or they collaborate, or these two entities are interrelated, interdependent, and interwoven to the extent that you cannot uproot one from the other. I'm talking about education, institutions, and the market. When I say the market, I'm talking about the market needs, the skill demands of the market. What skills do employers of today labor market require? Are we, when we assess, when we teach, really, are we assessing our students, taking into consideration these competencies, these skills that the market needs nowadays? and even in the future, which is going to be near future. An important question here you may think about: are we really colonizing or decolonizing our assessment practices? I hope that we are decolonizing our assessment practices. Or are we living in Skinner age, even before that? Now, another question that you may even get surprised of: are we maintaining power over those who are powerless? Do the haves try to disempower the have-not? They already have nothing. They already have nothing. So are we trying also to disempower them? I hope that you know what I'm talking about, and I will explain it later on. What's the focus of your assessment strategy? Then we come to the most important point here. Is your assessment strategy epistemologically or ontologically oriented? Here we are talking about two schools of thought that we need to consider. Otherwise, maybe we are using the rule of thumb or the heuristic perception when we teach and assess, given the changes that's happening on a daily basis in the market. Since we are talking about epistemology in contrast to ontology, we really need to understand the two concepts. Let me just give you a brief. From an epistemologically oriented perception, assessment focuses on what is assessment. What is this process all about? How we assess. So epistemologists, all the time, they have nothing to do except what process students need to follow in order to be very well assessed. In other words, it's what exactly the assessment process. On the other side, ontologists say what it means to assess. So we have two completely different schools of thought. One, consider the most important is the process that you have to follow in order to get a measurable, observable learning outcome. The other ontologically oriented perception just focus on what it means to you at the individual level. I'm not interested to discuss or even to understand the process as an ontologist, and I think I am an ontologist also, individual. I'm for what it means to you. I want to know whether you can make meaning out of what you are studying. This is my whole goal. On the other side, epistemologists all the time want to know whether the students are smart. Immediately, when you say to what extent they are smart, this means that some will be smart and some will be not smart. So if those who are going to be, you are going to indicate that they are smart. So here we are talking, this is very important. We are talking about whether they are smart. This means that some may be marginalized, may be left completely out of the picture, completely dismissed because they don't fit. Oh, they don't fit the culture. They don't fit the mainstream culture. They don't fit what? Or they are genetically are not able to acquire what you need them to acquire. Questions, I'm just asking. So here, the epistemologists want to know whether the students are smart. The other side, here we are talking about how smart they are, how smart these students are. This means that all of them are smart, but you want to show them how smart you are. Completely different schools of thought. Here we are talking about the amount of knowledge that students need to prove. You see the way even I say, to prove, and they acquired and memorized. And the value, of course, epistemologists value what? Standardization. Standardized tests, TOEFL, IELTS, which are in fact culturally oriented. And of course, the type of knowledge that they need to memorize, the students, and of course, later on, transmit. On the other side, the ontologists think of what? Individualized learning. They are looking for how students can perform. So it's a performance-based assessment. Here, they want to know what exactly the market needs in order to integrate the competencies into the curriculum. So here we assess for learning in the ontologists. The ontologists assess for learning. This is what I all the time do in my students. I give them assessment to know not whether they already acquired, no, to learn more. So when you get engaged in doing research, I want to know, in fact, whether you really enhanced your learning or not. Individualized learning. Were you able to make meaning out of this research that you have been doing or not? On the other side of the coin, epistemologists all the time promote a colonized global mindset. You need to follow with no local insight. I don't care about epistemology. They don't care about the local insight. On the contrary, ontologists decolonize the assessment process. Here, we are decolonizing. We are away from this dogmatic mindset of the epistemologist. Here we are saying what? We are promoting the development of the mind of a decolonized mindset. Here we are talking about what? Maybe project-based learning, inquiry-based learning, demonstrating your work in a conference like this. This is an ontologically oriented mindset. When you demonstrate your work, you want feedback from others because you value communication. You value social interaction. You value professional interaction. The other side of the coin, they just want to test the students in order to get a proof, an evidence that's measurable and that's observable. That's why all the time exam. And when they give a project or an assignment, because I know that there is a misunderstanding here, or epistemologists are also constructivists. This is really tricky because they give an assignment or they give a project, but what is the percentage? Oh, 20%, but 80% exams. 80%, in fact, on the contrary, I can use exam, but I can as an ontology. As an ontologist, yes, but 10%, 20%, I cannot flip it. Otherwise, I will change the whole process. Epistemologists, by and large, exam-oriented. And when they give even some assignments, some projects, and some presentations, okay, maybe 10% of the grade, of the overall grade. Just to tell the people or to tell the world that, by the way, we are not behaviorists. In fact, they are. So the question that comes into play here, this is what I'm promoting here. I'm promoting a new concept, in fact. You may not find this at all in the literature. The localized, you can find the ontologically oriented assessment, you can find a competency-based assessment, but you will not find a localized. Localized, this is the concept that we are promoting, in fact. That's why I say it's a conceptual paper. Later on, we are going to build on it. Here we have three important interrelated, intertwined, interwoven entities. They are not separate entities. Yes.
Sorry, Dr. Mohamed, you have your last minute from the 15 minutes.
Okay.
Okay.
So here I'm talking about what? Glocalization So I need my students to have an understanding of from a global perspective, but with a local insight. The local insight is paramount here in this assessment tool. That's why I give my students give them projects related to their own local concept, local setting, local context. This is the assessment that I'm promoting, a localized, competency-based assessment. And here, of course, most of you might have heard from me or from others, the e-portfolio. And this is one of the tools that can be used for you. It's an accumulated of artifacts, well-selected artifacts that you can later on demonstrate over time. Thank you very much for all. And if you have, I hope that I didn't exceed my time. And
No,
I hope
it's okay.
All right.
Okay, if you have any questions, you are most welcome to ask Dr. Mohamed about his presentation.